right, we haven't done this in a while. Let's start with a joke. What did the triangle say to the circle? You're pointless. Aw, he's sad. Hopefully you're not too, since this joke was pretty pointless. Okay, moving on. We are moving into, well, we're still in Chapter 12, Lesson 2, but we're going to look at some specific problems that they're having you deal with before you work on your own. And I want to start with number 5. So they are asking you here how many of each type of angle the shape has. Hopefully you will recall that an angle is where two lines meet together at a point. So let's count the amount of angles that we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 5 angles. And so now they want to know how many right angles, how many are less than right, how many are greater than right. So let's start with the right angles. Not always, but oftentimes you are going to see a little square drawn where there is a right angle. So that is anywhere there is a perpendicular line. I want to talk about that word really quick. I don't think that we've discussed it yet. It's almost a synonym for a right angle because it's where two lines meet at a 90-degree angle, which is a right angle. So if you want to think about some things that you see anywhere, if, for instance, a cross, those lines run perpendicular. And so the angles here is, this is a 90-degree angle, this is a 90-degree angle, 90, 90, or a right angle. We're discussing right angles. A road, when the road outside of Sunnyside, we have what, Avenue 196 or Avenue 96 and Road 216. They run perpendicular. Now, if you had another road that came at an angle, at a slant, I should say, like this is not perpendicular to this because it is coming at a slant. But if you had roads that perfectly crisscross, those are perpendicular, and perpendicular lines have right angles. So I just want to throw that out there in case I use the word perpendicular, you'll have some idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so getting back to question number 5, we've already counted the angles. We said that there are 5 angles. They want to know how many right angles there are. So how many angles are perpendicular to each other? If we look at these little squares, those are indicators that that is in fact a right angle. And they do that in drawings so that there's no question. Because truly an acute angle, remember, a cute little angle, which is less than a right angle. If I had, let's say that this is perpendicular. Well, if I drew an angle that looked like this, let me use blue. I mean, that looks perpendicular, doesn't it? If you just saw that without the orange, you might think, oh, that might be perpendicular. That might be a right angle. But if we look at a drawing and they have this little square, that is to indicate to you that, just in case you're wondering, this is a right angle. So then you know exactly how many degrees it is. So in this case, we have 3 circles. 3 circles. I'm circling 3 little squares that they've drawn. So those indicate right angles. We have 3 right angles. Now they want to know how many angles are less than right. So they would be a cute little angle. But there are none here because let's look at these angles. So here's an angle here, here's an angle here. To be perpendicular or to be a right angle, this line here would have had to come from here. That would have made a right angle. It did not do that. So It's definitely not smaller than a right angle, right? It's definitely not this small. No, it's way out here. So what do we call that? Obtuse, or greater than a right angle. So I'm going to say that we have two that are greater, and let's just go ahead and put in 0 for less than a right angle. Now, when we first counted, we said that there were 5 angles on this shape. There are, in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 plus 0 plus 2 is 5. We have identified all 5 angles. Let's look at number 6 together. Let's first count the angles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. So all of our numbers here should add up to 4. How many right angles do we have? They did not put any little squares inside the angles because none of them are right. So we are going to say that there are 0 right angles. Now we need to see how many are less than right angles. So for a line to run perpendicular or to be a right angle, here's a perfectly straight line, right? Or not just straight, but it's horizontal. We can just draw a makeshift line or a makeshift right angle and then compare it. So if this makes a right angle, which we can see here, look at this line. It's definitely coming in smaller here. So it is less than right. And this side is going to be the same as this side. So we would say that there are 2 that are less than right. Now to show what is greater than right, let me erase this. You probably already get that it's going to be the last 2. I'm going to go ahead and write 2, but let's just look at it and show why. So again, here's a horizontal line, and if we had another line that came perpendicular to it, it would look like this. But the line actually comes way out here. So that is an obtuse angle, and these two are the same. So they are both greater than right. All right, looking at the last one, we might as well get that done as well. It has 4 little squares, 1 in each corner. So we know that we have 4 right angles, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. So we've identified all of them. Okay, and I want to finish off this video by showing you one more strategy that the book is giving you to determine or to compare angles with a right angle. So you can say if it's less than or greater than a right angle. What they say is, I'm going to bring up my piece of paper here. They say use the corner of a sheet of paper to tell whether the angle is a right angle, less than a right angle, or greater than a right angle. Okay, we can do that. So we've got this piece of paper, and we're only looking at one angle on each of these. So the first one is this one here, this angle here. And so what you do is you take your paper, you move it up to the angle, and already I can see as I get closer to the angle that a perpendicular line, which makes this a right angle, is going to come straight down, right? It's coming straight down. But look at their angle. It's coming like this. So that is definitely smaller than this. It's definitely less than a right angle, because the angle is, this is much closer here. This here, oops, this is much closer here than this right angle that we have on the piece of paper. So we would just write, let me move this piece of paper out of the way. We are just going to write less than a right angle. And then looking at the next one, you would do the same thing. And I don't even need to use a piece of paper, I don't think, because look what they've given us. And that's the angle that we're looking at to determine if it's less or greater than. It's actually equal to, right? Because it's the same. it's got the little square. It tells us that this is equal to a right angle. And then I'm going to let you do the rest of these. Here's one, well, there's one more here to do. And if you want to use the paper, you can, to look at these last three shapes down here. These shapes here. You're just going to say how many of each that the shape has. Okay, how many right angles, how many are less than right, and how many are greater than right. And while I really didn't want this video to go this long, I did want to look at number 14. It says describe the types of angles formed when you divide a circle into 4 equal parts. So first we need a circle, and then we need to divide the circle into 4 equal parts. And there you have it. I have 4 equal parts. I had to draw perpendicular lines to divide it into 4 equal parts. And it's asking you to describe the types of angles formed. So let's just look at one thing. What about this? It resembles an angle, doesn't it? But it has to be 2 lines that meet, and these lines are curved. This blue line is curved, so it's not really making a true angle because it is curved. So I'm not going to evaluate those. What I'm going to evaluate are these in here, and I'm going to leave that to you. So you're looking at those angles and you're going to describe them. Okay, do your best. See you in the next video. Bye now.